Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This is Department of English, Language and Literature, Government Postgraduate College, Attack. I am Muhammad Suhail, Assistant Professor of English. Dear students, I welcome you to my online class with the hope that you will be enjoying a happy, healthy life. Dear students, as you know, it is an unfortunate situation the whole world is facing because of COVID-19. But still, we are hopeful that a better era would usher in our life and we will be reunited soon, inshallah. However, to cope with the situation, online classes have been started, and for this purpose, let us come to the topic, which is for today's lecture is Romanticism. Before starting the topic, I would like to give you a brief introduction to literary Romantic movement. So, Romantic movement is a remarkable period in the history of English literature. Its leading exponents were Wordsworth, S.T. Coleridge, Scott, Byron, and P.B. Shelley. Its span roughly started from 1780 and ended round about 1830. It is also noted that some romantic features were found in the poetry of 18th century poets who were regarded as forerunners of the romantic poetry. Two generations of romantic poets. Romanticism is not a homogeneous group of tendencies, nor do all the romantic poets form a homogeneous group. There are two generations of romantics, and though there are some common tendencies between the two groups, tendencies derived from the general movement of Romanticism, there are marked differences between the two groups. So, on the basis of their difference of opinion, they can be divided into two groups. Number one, as far their political outlook is concerned, the earlier group, Wordsworth, Coleridge, and Scott, were opponents of the French Revolution. Wordsworth and Coleridge were renegades, and Scott abhorred the revolution. It means they did not, or they had nothing to do with the revolution. They set themselves up against revolutionary ideal. The political reform of Wordsworth and Coleridge seeks its justification in a national idealism. They express a sympathetic interest in the poor peasant, but they do not preach the revolutionary gospel or ideas of the rights of man. They settle down as a conservatives and preach the cult of peace. The second group of romantics, Byron and Shelley, breathe a spirit of moral revolt. They refuse to recognize any tradition and severely criticize a society based on conventional privileges. They are inspired by revolutionary ideals and, in their passion for liberty, rebel against all tradition. Their poetry glows with passion and they preach the cult of revolution. Now, I would like to explain you the term Romanticism. What is Romanticism? Romanticism is a tendency found in all literature and in all countries. Walter Pater, the great critic, thinks that the romantic element in literature consists in the addition of the quality of strangeness to the quality of beauty, which is present in all works of art. The Romanticism does not stem directly from the concept of love, as it is usually regarded, but rather the French word romant, R-O-M-A-U-N-T, that is a romantic story told in verse. Dear students, you should keep in mind that it is not easy to define the word Romanticism. Like other many literary terms, this word has been used in different ages in widely different senses, and even today there is a lot of confusion regarding its exact meaning and significance. There is no end to the definition of the term Romanticism. Wars Denton says Romanticism is renaissance of wonder, and Pater regards Romanticism as strangeness added to beauty. Professor Kazamian says the romantic spirit can be defined as an accentuated predominance of emotional life provoked or directed by the exercise of imaginative vision, and in its turn stimulating or directing such exercise. Intense emotion coupled with an intense display of imagery. Such is the frame of mind which supports and feeds the romantic literature. One of the best definitions of the term comes from the pen of Compton Rickett. Romanticism, generally speaking, is the expression in terms of art of sharpened sensibilities, heightened imaginative feeling, and although we are concerned only with its expression in literature, Romanticism is an imaginative point of view that has influenced many of art forms and has left its mark also on philosophy and history. It is, of course, G.H. Meyer who described the full thing. A better definition and description of the cult of Romanticism can nowhere be found. One notes in the Romantic authors an extraordinary development of imaginative sensibility. The mind at its countless points of contact with sensuous world, and the world of thought seems to become more alive and alert. It is more sensitive to fine impression, to finely graded shades of difference. Outward objects and philosophical ideas seem to increase in their content and their meaning and acquire a new power to enrich the intensest life of the human spirit. Mountains and lakes, the dignity of the peasant, the terror of the supernatural, scenes of history, medieval architecture and armor, medieval thought and poetry, the arts and mythology of Greece, all become springs of poetic inspiration and poetic joy. I consider these to be the completest descriptions of Romanticism in the modern sense. The two chief forces that account a lot for this new spirit in literature were A. The intellectual movement of Germany, initiated by Kant and followed up by Hegel and others, and B. The French Revolution that radically changed social and political conception and swept off old landmarks. Now we come towards characteristics of Romanticism. Romantic literature is marked by six primary characteristics: celebration of nature, focus on the individual and spirituality, celebration of isolation and melancholy, interest in the common man, idealization of women, and personification and pathetic fallacy. Now, number one, celebration of isolation and melancholy. Prof. Waldo Emerson was a very influential writer in Romanticism. His books of essays explored many of the themes of the literary movement and codified them. His 1841 essay Self-Reliance is a seminal work of romantic writing in which he exhorts the value of looking inward and determining your own path and relying on only your own resources. Related to the insistence on isolation, melancholy is the key feature of many works of Romanticism, usually seen as a reaction to inevitable failure. Writers wish to express the pure beauty they perceived, and failure to do so adequately resulted in despair, like the sort expressed by P.B. Shelley in A Lament. O world, O life, O time, on whose lost steps I climb, trembling at that where I had stood before. When will return the glory of your prime? No more, oh, never more. Interest in the common man. William Wordsworth was one of the first poets to embrace the concept of writing that could be read, enjoyed, and understood by anyone. He eschewed overly stylized language and references to classical works in favor of emotional imagery conveyed in simple, elegant language, as in his most famous poem, I wandered lonely as a cloud. I wandered lonely as a cloud that floats on high over vales and hills, when all at once I saw a crowd, a host of golden daffodils beside the lake, beneath the trees, fluttering and dancing in the breeze. The next point is idealization of women. In works such as Poe's The Raven, women were always presented as idealized love interests, pure and beautiful, but usually without anything else to offer. Ironically, the most notable novels of the period were written by women: Jane Austen, Charlotte Bronte, and Mary Shelley, for example, but had to be initially published under male pseudonym because of these attitudes. Much romantic literature is infused with the concept of women being perfect, innocent, innocent being to be adored, mourned, and respected, but never touched or relied upon. Celebration of nature. Romantic writers saw nature as a teacher and a source of infinite beauty. One of the most famous works of Romanticism is John Keats' To Autumn, 1820. Where are the songs of spring? Hey, where are they? Think not of them. Thou hast thy music too, while bird clouds bloom the soft dying day, and touch the stubble plain with rosy hue. Then, in a wailful choir, the small gnats moan among the river shallows, borne aloft or sinking as the light wind lives or dies. Keats personifies the season and follows its progression from the initial arrival after summer through the harvest season and finally to autumn's end as winter takes its place. The next point is focus on the individual and spirituality. Romantic writers turn inward, valuing the individual experience and above all else. This in turn led to heightened sense of spirituality in romantic work and the addition of occult and supernatural element. The work of Edgar Allan Poe exemplifies this aspect of the movement For example, the raven tells the story of a man grieving for his dead love, that is, an idealized woman in the romantic tradition. When a, when a seemingly sentient raven arrives and torments him, which can be interpreted literally or seen as a manifestation of his mental instability. The last point, that is the use of personification and pathetic fallacy, has been dealt by the Romantics in its full swing. Shelley's Ode to the West Wind is the best example of such art. Okay, dear students, for today's lecture, we are going to conclude it. Thank you very much, and you should also give me your response so that your attendance can be marked. Take care and Allah Hafiz.